Little black boy said, "Sir? My mother didn't come home last night." CEO went after him through the snow. Snow hammered against the windows of Adrian Mercer's mansion like someone trying to break in. He was closing another late-night report when he noticed a small shadow standing at the edge of his iron gate. At first, he thought it was a trick of the storm until the figure lifted a trembling hand. A child, alone, in the snow. Adrian stepped onto the porch, cold slicing through his suit as he called out, "Hey, what are you doing out here?" The boy lifted his face, red, frozen, eyes terrified. "Sir, my mother did not come home last night." Adrian froze. That name Rosa Reed punched straight into his memory. She was one of his line supervisors. Quiet, disciplined, reliable, the kind of employee who never caused trouble. "What do you mean she did not come home?" Adrian asked, moving closer. Malik swallowed hard. "Something happened at the plant. I know it. I heard things. I saw things. And people were lying, please. You have to come with me." Adrian felt dread crawling up his spine. A child should never sound this certain. Or this broken. He grabbed his coat. "All right. I am coming." As Adrian followed Malik down the icy road, he had no idea that every step was pulling him deeper into a nightmare hiding inside his own company. If more people cared enough to see the truth, he wondered how many lives could be saved. The factory looked like a sleeping giant under the storm-dark windows. Motionless machines, and only a few scattered lights glowing above the night shift. As Adrian and Malik pushed through the front doors, conversations instantly died. Workers who had been huddled near the break room stepped back like they had seen a ghost. "Mr. Mercer," someone whispered. Adrian nodded stiffly, scanning the nervous faces. Nobody stepped forward. Nobody explained. Their silence felt heavy like fear, not respect. Calvin Price emerged from the hallway with a confident stride that felt rehearsed. "Sir, what brings you here at this hour?" he asked, pretending to sound surprised, but his eyes flicked toward Malik with unmistakable annoyance. Adrian's voice was cold. "Malik Reed came to my home. He said his mother never returned last night." Calvin's jaw tightened for half a second before he forced a smile. "Ah, yes, about that. Rosa Reed was caught trying to steal high-value tools. Standard protocol. We had to detain her for questioning. She caused a scene, but everything is under control." Malik did not wait for permission. He ran past Calvin and down the hall. "Mama." Adrian followed quickly on. The moment he reached the small security room, his chest tightened. Rosa sat on a metal chair, wrists red and bruised as if someone had grabbed her far too hard. Her eyes widened when she saw her son. "Malik, baby, why are you here?" Her voice cracked, a mix of relief and terror. Malik threw his arms around her. "They said you stole something, but you did not. I know you did not." Rosa shook her head violently. "I never touched anything. I only reported a damaged machine. Next thing I know, Calvin and his men were dragging me into this room." Calvin stepped inside behind them, his shadow stretching across the floor like he owned the place. "Sir, she is lying. We have footage." Adrian turned to the monitor. A grainy black and white video showed Rosa stepping into a storage area, but the clip abruptly cut, jumped, and resumed at a later time. The audio bar at the bottom was dead flatlined. Adrian leaned closer. "Why is the audio missing?" Calvin shrugged too quickly. "System malfunction. Happens sometimes. Our IT will fix it in the morning." But Adrian had overseen this plant for years. Their CCTV rarely glitched, especially not on a night with such high tension. He scanned the desks, noticing a small pile of reports stamped with bright red warnings. Unauthorized breaks. Incomplete tasks. Safety violations. All filed against Rosa, all dated within the last 3 weeks. All signed by Calvin Price. The timing was too neat, too sudden, too deliberate. Rosa wiped her eyes. "Sir, I have never had a single complaint in 10 years. Something is wrong here. Please believe me." Adrian felt the tightness in the room. Workers passing by avoided eye contact. Calvin's smile was stretched, unnatural. Every detail was painting an ugly picture. Why frame a loyal worker? Why now? And what were they trying so desperately to hide? Adrian was still staring at the tampered footage when he felt a small tug on his coat. Malik stood beside him, eyes wide, breath shaking. He looked like he wanted to say something but was scared to speak. "Malik, what is it?" Adrian asked gently. Malik looked at Calvin, then at his mother, then leaned close to Adrian and whispered, I recorded something." Adrian blinked. "Recorded? What do you mean?" Malik slowly reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a tiny blue toy recorder scuffed. Old, the kind a child carried everywhere. His hands trembled as he held it. "I did not mean to spy," Malik said. "I was just waiting for Mama to finish her shift. I was sitting near the storage hallway. Then Mr. Calvin came with another man, and they did not see me behind the boxes." Adrian took the recorder carefully. "Did you hear something important?" Malik nodded. They said Mama needed to be neutralized. I did not know what that word meant, so I pressed record." The room went silent. Even Rosa's breathing stopped. Adrian pressed play. Crackling audio filled the space, broken by static, but then Calvin's voice came through clearly. "She is asking too many questions. If we do not shut her down now, everything will fall apart." Another man replied, "Do it tonight. Make it look like theft. After that, she is gone." Rosa covered her mouth, shaking. Calvin's face went pale for a moment, then he quickly stepped forward. "Sir, that is fake. A child could have edited that enough." Adrian's voice was sharp, slicing the air. "Malik did not fake anything, and you know it." Calvin stepped back, jaw clenched, eyes burning with anger he could no longer hide. Adrian knew this was bigger than a simple lie. This was organized, planned, and if someone was willing to take down Rosa, they would not stop there. Adrian needed more help. He called someone he trusted, someone who never bent to pressure. Olivia Park, a private corporate investigator with a reputation for finding the truth no matter how deeply it was buried. Within an hour, Olivia arrived at the plant in a heavy black coat, eyes sharp, steps quick. "You said urgent," she told Adrian. "It is worse than urgent," Adrian said. "I think someone inside my company is targeting certain employees." Olivia opened her laptop right there in the hallway and began pulling HR data, internal memos, warning logs, and termination reports. After only 15 minutes, she looked up, face tight. "Adrian, this is not random." She turned the screen toward him. A pattern was forming. A horrible, unmistakable pattern. Every false warning, every demotion, every sudden termination, all aimed at black employees. Olivia scrolled further, showing forged signatures, transfer memos that never existed, and HR complaints typed in identical language as if created by the same person. Calvin Price's name appeared over and over. But something else, something even worse stood out. "These actions are approved by someone above Calvin," Olivia said. "Someone with authority to override systems." Adrian felt his stomach drop. If Calvin was only following orders, who was giving them? And how high did this corruption reach inside his own company? Malik had been quiet ever since Olivia showed the forged warnings. He kept looking around the hallway, like something else was bothering him. Just as Adrian turned to check on Rosa again, Malik tugged at his sleeve. "Sir, I found something outside earlier," he whispered. "What did you find?" Adrian asked. Malik looked down, nervous. "A paper. I thought it was trash, so I picked it up. But it was not trash." He carefully pulled a folded sheet from his coat pocket. It was slightly wet from the snow and had dirt on the corners. But the moment Adrian opened it, everyone felt the temperature drop. Rows of employee names were printed neatly in dark ink. Black employees only. Next to each name were labels. "Phase out monitor evaluate for removal resolved," Rosa gasped. Her own name sat halfway down the page. Next to it, in bold red ink, resolved. She covered her mouth. Malik clung to her side, eyes filling with fear. Adrian felt a cold chill crawl up his spine. He scanned the list again and froze when he reached the bottom. Daniel Reed, next evaluation. Immediate action, Daniel Reed. Rosa's brother. a respected department director who had served the company for over a decade. He did nothing wrong, Rosa whispered. Daniel follows every rule. Why is his name here? Olivia leaned over the list, her expression darkening. This is not a warning list. This is a termination plan. Adrian tightened his jaw. Daniel had 3 promotions blocked in the last 2 years. I thought it was bad luck or internal politics. But this is targeted sabotage, Olivia finished. She took the list and examined the header. The document did not come from HR. It came from a private internal server one only high-level board members could access. And only one board member had influence over HR, supervisor guidelines, and department evaluations all at once. Jonathan Carrington. A name Adrian had trusted for years. Olivia tapped the page. Carrington oversees the department that controls employee retention. He has the power to greenlight these phases, and he holds the authority to approve Calvin's actions without question. Rosa placed a hand on the wall to steady herself. Jonathan always ignored my complaints, even when I begged for help. Adrian replayed old meetings in his mind, times Jonathan dismissed concerns about internal bias, moments he pushed for cultural quality standards. A phrase that suddenly felt far more sinister. Olivia opened a hidden folder on her tablet. I dug into your board documents. Jonathan held 3 private meetings with select supervisors. The agenda was vague, but the notes referred to tightening the workforce, removing disruptions, and ensuring the company's public image stays clean. Adrian felt a heaviness settle in his chest. Clean. As in removing employees who do not fit their idea of clean? Olivia nodded slowly. It looks like this scheme is far bigger than Calvin. Rosa is not the first casualty, and Daniel will not be the last. Rosa clutched Malik tightly. We cannot let them hurt my brother. Adrian stared at the list again, the weight of responsibility pressing down hard. If he challenged Jonathan Carrington and the board, he would be risking everything: his reputation, his position, even the stability of the entire company. But if he stayed silent, Daniel Reed could disappear into the same trap. Rosa barely escaped. The open question hung in the air. Would Adrian risk his entire career to bring the truth into the light? Adrian Mercer did not sleep well that night. The weight of the hidden list pressed on his mind, but he knew thinking alone would not stop the corruption. He began quietly reaching out to former employees who had been dismissed under suspicious circumstances. Some had moved towns, others were working jobs far below their qualifications. Each story he heard cut through him like a blade talented. Men and women pushed aside for no reason other than the color of their skin. Olivia Park, with her meticulous eye, had begun compiling the evidence. Emails, internal memos, even digital notes from Calvin Price, instructing other supervisors to plant false evidence against Rosa and other employees. Adrian realized the chain of deceit ran deeper than he first imagined. It was not just harassment, it was a carefully orchestrated scheme. Worse, hints of market manipulation appeared. Certain promotions had been blocked strategically to benefit stock positions controlled by Jonathan Carrington. Malik, sitting quietly on a small chair with crayons scattered on the floor, drew a picture that made Adrian pause. He had sketched a large room full of men, their faces hard, cold. Bad men in big room, Malik said simply. Adrian understood immediately. The child had captured what many adults overlooked: the power, the hierarchy, and the cruelty behind closed doors. Rosa was nervous. Each new piece of evidence, each name on a hidden memo, increased the danger. Adrian, what if they retaliate? She asked, her voice trembling. Adrian knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. I will not stop. We are not just protecting you, Rosa. We are protecting every person who is silenced. Over the next days, Adrian and Olivia worked relentlessly. They cataloged interviews with former employees, documented every suspicious HR report, and cross-checked the forged warnings. Olivia's expertise uncovered meetings Jonathan had held with the board to discuss cultural quality standards, a euphemism for eliminating black employees from leadership roles. Adrian also quietly contacted one journalist, careful not to reveal all the evidence yet. He simply hinted that something significant was happening at Mercer Holdings. and it would expose patterns of discrimination, fraud, and manipulation. This journalist, experienced in corporate scandals, would be the first external witness ready when the final confrontation came. Meanwhile, Malik sat close by, observing every action with eyes far beyond his age. The boy's innocence became a hidden asset. He remembered everything, overheard conversations, and even played his toy recorder near offices to capture voices adults thought he could not understand. Adrian realized that sometimes clarity comes from the purest minds, those who see the truth without prejudice or fear. By the end of the week, Adrian had assembled a mountain of evidence. Each email, every memos, every recorded conversation pointed to the same conclusion: Jonathan Carrington and his accomplices had built a corrupt system designed to strip talent, instill fear, and manipulate the company for personal gain. The stakes were clear. Adrian had the facts. Olivia had the verification. Malik had the proof captured through innocence, and Rosa carried the emotional heart of the case. But the question remained: how could they expose this publicly without being silenced first? The plan began to form in Adrian's mind. The board would be held accountable in a way they had never anticipated, and this time there would be no hiding. Every injustice, every manipulated record, every wrongful dismissal would be brought into the light. The open loop loomed large. Adrian was ready to confront the board publicly. But how? And when would the world finally witness the truth? The day of the shareholders' meeting arrived, crisp and cold. Yet the tension inside the Mercer Holdings auditorium was far hotter than the winter air. Hundreds of investors, board members, journalists, and staff filled the elegant room, unaware of the storm about to unfold. Adrian Mercer stepped onto the stage, his presence calm but commanding. He looked at the gathered audience, then at Malik sitting in the front row beside his mother, Rosa Reed, and spoke with measured intensity. 3 weeks ago, Adrian began, a 7-year-old boy knocked on my door during a snowstorm. He was looking for his mother, who was falsely accused of wrongdoing by people she trusted at her workplace. The room grew silent, the soft murmur of whispers replaced by an uneasy stillness. Behind Adrian, the large projector screen flickered to life, showing a photo of Malik holding Adrian's hand, his small face tense and hopeful in the snow. Adrian continued, "This is Malik Reed." And this, the image changed. Showing Rosa Reed with faint bruises on her wrists is his mother, an exemplary employee, wrongly punished because of prejudice. Gasps filled the room as investors and staff recognized the severity of the claim. Adrian gestured toward Olivia Park, who stepped forward carrying a thick folder of documents. She handed the files to Adrian, each page containing proof of tampering, forged memos, and false disciplinary actions. Malik quietly placed his small toy recorder on the podium. Adrian pressed play. Calvin Price's voice, clear and unmistakable, echoed through the hall. "The troublesome employee has been neutralized. Do as necessary to prevent others from thinking differently." The audience froze. Some whispered in disbelief. Others stared, their faces pale. Adrian's gaze did not waver. He opened another folder. "And this is Jonathan Carrington," he said, projecting an email chain onto the screen. Instructions sent directly to supervisors. Manipulating evaluations, planting evidence, even orchestrating false financial reports, all to maintain control and eliminate talent. The words cultural quality standards appeared repeatedly, revealing the euphemism used to enforce systemic racism within the company. Adrian paused, letting the weight of the evidence settle over the room. The murmurs turned to stunned silence, then chaos. People scrambled to understand the depth of the corruption. Olivia continued projecting files showing abrupt demotions, denied promotions, and falsified complaints, all targeting Black employees. Adrian's voice grew stronger. "This was no accident. This was a plan executed by the people you trusted to lead this company." 2 FBI agents who had been quietly positioned near the exits rose. Agent Sarah Mitchell, FBI, once said, "Jonathan Carrington and Calvin Price, you are under arrest for conspiracy, racial discrimination, and financial fraud." The room erupted. Jonathan Carrington's face went pale. Calvin Price tried to run, but the agents intercepted him immediately. Investors whispered urgently, Journalists typed furiously, and staff watched as the leaders who had hidden behind suits and authority were now powerless. Rosa sat beside Malik, tears running down her face, her hand gripping his tightly. Malik watched quietly, his small eyes wide with shock but also pride. Adrian looked at both of them, feeling the weight of justice finally being served. He raised his hand to calm the room. Effective immediately, all employees harmed by this scheme will be reinstated, and measures will be implemented to ensure this never happens again. The chaos settled into a tense energy as cameras recorded every detail. Adrian's voice carried across the auditorium. Sometimes justice comes through the most unexpected voices, even those of a brave child. The screen behind them displayed the names of every employee wronged, each one a testament to the corruption now exposed. What would happen to Mercer Holdings now, and how would the company rebuild after this shocking revelation? Adrian knew this was only the beginning. The villains were gone, but the true test of leadership restoring integrity, trust, and culture was about to start. Mercer Holdings looked completely different 6 months later. The hallways buzzed with energy, but now it was filled with genuine collaboration instead of fear. Adrian Mercer walked through the office, noticing employees smiling, sharing ideas, and working with renewed trust. The toxic leaders were gone, and the company's culture had transformed into one of accountability and inclusion. Rosa Reed had been appointed as the new director of human resources, her presence a constant reminder that fairness and integrity were no longer optional. Daniel Reed, Rosa's brother, now served as vice president, bringing decades of experience and a firm moral compass to the executive team. Adrian had implemented strict diversity and ethics policies, ensuring no employee would ever be silenced or unfairly targeted again. Every former employee harmed by the previous corrupt regime had been reinstated, many receiving full compensation, and the company's reputation began to rebuild at an unprecedented pace. Adrian found a quiet moment with Malik in the sunlit courtyard. The young boy, now 8, held a small notebook in which he had been drawing diagrams and notes about justice and rules for fairness. Adrian knelt to look at it, smiling softly. "You have a real gift, Malik," he said. "Not just for seeing what is wrong, but for making sure the right things happen." Malik looked up, his eyes bright, understanding that even a child could spark enormous change. News outlets highlighted Mercer Holdings as a national example of how leadership could correct past injustices. The company posted record profits, and investors praised the newly transparent structure. Malik received a full scholarship to a private school, not charity, but recognition for his courage and insight. Adrian often thought back to that snowy night when Malik appeared at his gate, knowing that it was the bravery of one small boy that had started a chain reaction of justice. Adrian reflected quietly. The greatest change sometimes comes from the most unexpected sources. A 7-year-old had exposed an entire corrupt system, and now the company not only survived, but thrived. Every decision moving forward was guided by the lessons learned that night. As Adrian watched Malik running across the courtyard, he thought to himself about the importance of sharing stories that matter, of standing up when it counts, and how small actions can create monumental change. If you want to see more stories of courage, truth, and transformation, like this video and subscribe to the channel to support voices that deserve to be heard.